crown just went ice cold, and the number echoing through palace corridors is so huge it sounds like fiction. A rumored $100 million financial storm tied to Prince Harry, and not a single royal hand reaching out to pull him back to shore. This isn't just money talk. This is power, pride, legacy, and a family line drawn in marble instead of sand. And when the palace chose silence instead of denial, insiders say that silence spoke louder than any official statement ever could.
After many, many years of lies being told about me and my family, there comes a point where, again, going back to the relationship between certain members of the family and the tabloid press.
For years, the story sold to the world was simple. A prince walks away from duty, chooses love, chooses freedom, chooses a new life across the ocean where titles matter less than independence. It looked brave. It looked modern. It looked like a fairy tale rewrite. But behind the curated interviews and glossy photos, whispers were stacking up, contracts heavier than expected, obligations that didn't fade with headlines, and a lifestyle that costs more than most small companies make in a year. Now those whispers have turned into a figure so massive it feels unreal. $100 million. Not in loose spending, not in wild shopping sprees, but in layered commitments, production deals with performance clauses, legal battles that don't come cheap, private security that runs like a meter that never stops ticking, and the kind of high-profile life where cutting back still costs more than most people's dream salaries. The shock isn't just the number, it's who isn't stepping in. Because in royal history, there has always been a cushion, a quiet system behind the velvet curtains. Advisors, funds, estates, arrangements, a centuries-old structure designed to make sure senior blood never truly falls. But this time, the structure didn't move. King Charles didn't blink. Prince William didn't soften. And according to palace watchers, that was not an accident. That was a decision. The message, insiders say, was delivered without drama. No explosive family showdown. No emotional pleas played out in public, just a calm, controlled refusal to interfere. Independence, once declared with such confidence, has now been handed back like a signed contract. You wanted freedom? Here's the full weight of it. And this is where the story stops being about sympathy and starts becoming about consequences. Because the early days after the royal exit were filled with momentum. Global attention was at its peak. Media giants lined up with offers. Production deals promised influence, storytelling power, and serious money. The world was listening, watching, ready to consume anything connected to the couple who walked away from the throne. But attention is not a stable currency. Streaming platforms expect output, not just presence. Publishing deals expect revelations that shake rooms, not gentle reflections. Public speaking pays well until the demand cools. Fame runs on waves, and waves don't stay high forever. Meanwhile, the bills don't ride waves. They sit. They wait. They grow. Security alone is said to be staggering. Unlike working royals, private citizens carry the full cost of their protection. And when your name is globally known, your threat level doesn't drop just because your royal role does. Teams, vehicles, monitoring, travel adjustments. Year after year, the number climbs. Quietly. Relentlessly. Add legal fights, brand commitments, staff, property maintenance, charitable initiatives launched with big promises. Suddenly, the glamorous dream of self-made royalty starts looking like a corporation under pressure. Friends describe late-night strategy sessions, not panic, but a heavy recalibration. Spreadsheets replacing speeches, risk assessments replacing royal schedules. It's not scandal, it's math. Cold, stubborn math. And across the ocean, inside palace walls, the reaction wasn't shock. It was calculation, because helping now would mean rewriting the very line that was drawn when the exit happened. Step away from duty, step away from the financial framework that supports it. That was the unspoken rule. A bailout would blur that line, and blur it publicly. For an institution already fighting to look modern yet stable, that kind of mixed signal could be more dangerous than bad press. So the palace did what it does best. It said almost nothing. When reporters pushed, the response was careful, no comment on private matters. To casual ears, that sounds neutral. To royal correspondents, it's a siren. Because when the palace wants to kill a rumor, it does. Fast, firm, direct. This time, it let the story breathe. Inside, debates were said to be tense. Some voices argued blood should matter more than protocol. Others insisted the crown must come first, especially now, especially after such a public departure. In the end, principle won over sentiment. Prince William's reported stance was especially firm. To him, insiders say, the issue isn't just financial, it's symbolic. Benefiting from royal identity while criticizing the institution has long been a sore point. Stepping in financially could look like rewarding rebellion, and that is not a precedent an heir wants to set. So the line held, and when the reality reached Harry, it didn't arrive as a dramatic rejection. It arrived as clarity. No backup, no quiet rescue, just the full, unfiltered weight of the life he chose. Those close to him say the emotional hit wasn't explosive. It was hollow, a realization that the safety net he assumed might still exist in some hidden form simply doesn't. Independence, once empowering, now feels stark, total, unbuffered. Meghan, described by those around them as pragmatic and forward-focused, is said to be deeply involved in the reset. What projects actually sustain long-term? What drains more than it returns? What can be paused without looking like collapse? The questions aren't glamorous, they're survival-level strategic. And that's the twist no one expected. This isn't a downfall story, it's an adjustment story. A prince raised inside a system built to absorb risk, now living in a world where risk lands directly on him. No palace accountants, no institutional cushion, just contracts, numbers, and time. Meanwhile, the monarchy watches from a distance, not with visible cruelty, but with immovable boundaries. Love may still exist behind closed doors. But the crown, as an institution, has chosen structure over rescue. And the world? The world is split. Some call it abandonment. Others call it accountability. Some see a father and brother turning their backs. Others see a king and future king protecting the rules that keep the monarchy standing. But beneath the noise, one truth is settling in like fog. Freedom without support systems is heavier than it looks on magazine covers. And for the first time, the fairy tale ending has been replaced by something far more human, a reckoning where legacy, pride, and financial reality collide, and no title in the world can negotiate with arithmetic. Across the Atlantic, the silence from the palace doesn't just linger, it hardens. It settles into something solid, something final, like a door that hasn't just been closed but quietly locked. And that's the part no one prepared Harry for. Not the criticism, not the headlines, not even the financial strain, but the stillness. The realization that the institution he was born into can continue, perfectly composed, while he faces the storm outside its walls. In California, the days start earlier now, not with royal briefings or ceremonial appearances, but with calls that feel more corporate than royal. Agents, advisors, legal teams, financial planners, conversations about restructuring, renegotiating, scaling back. Words like liquidity, exposure, and long-term sustainability now float through rooms that once buzzed with talk of global impact and creative freedom. It's not failure, but it is friction. The dream of building an independent empire hasn't vanished, it's just collided with reality. Big deals come with bigger expectations. Global platforms don't pay for potential, they pay for performance. And when timelines slip or audience attention shifts, the pressure doesn't ease. It compounds, quietly, relentlessly. Those close to the couple say Harry goes through waves, moments of frustration, flashes of disbelief, then long stretches of quiet focus. He isn't lashing out, he isn't begging, he's adjusting, learning a language he never had to speak before, the language of limits. For most of his life, the monarchy functioned like an invisible shield. Not just financially, but structurally. There were always systems in place, layers of protection between decision and consequence. Now, that distance is gone. Every commitment is personal, every cost is direct, every miscalculation lands without cushioning, and that changes a person. Meghan, steady and analytical, reportedly pushes for precision over pride. Not every opportunity is worth the strain. Not every public appearance is worth the scrutiny. The focus, insiders say, is shifting from visibility to viability. Fewer grand gestures, more controlled steps, less noise, more durability. But outside their circle, the narrative refuses to quiet down. In Britain, the story has evolved from emotional drama to moral debate. Commentators argue over responsibility like it's a national referendum. Should family override principle? Should the monarchy behave like an institution or a household? Is this strength or coldness? Discipline or detachment? Inside palace corridors, however, the thinking is said to be far less emotional. The monarchy is not designed to operate on impulse. It survives by precedent. And the precedent being set now is stark. Stepping away from royal duty means stepping away from royal financial structure. No halfway. No selective support. To reverse that now would blur the boundary in a way future generations could exploit. That, advisors warn, is how institutions erode, not through scandal, but through inconsistency. So King Charles remains outwardly calm, publicly focused on state matters, environmental causes, diplomacy. Prince William doubles down on duty, visibility, stability. Their message isn't delivered through interviews, it's delivered through absence. No public sympathy campaign, no softening statements, just continuity. And that continuity is its own statement. Back in Montecito, the emotional shift is subtle but real. The anger that once flared about media treatment and palace dynamics now competes with something more practical. Acceptance, not of defeat, but of separation. The understanding that the bridge behind them isn't just burned, it's been officially removed. Friends say Harry still feels the sting, not just of financial strain, but of what the refusal represents. A confirmation that whatever personal love remains, institutional loyalty has limits. The crown protects itself first, always. Yet there's also a strange clarity in that. With no illusion of rescue, decisions become sharper, priorities clearer. The question is no longer will they step in, but how do we stand alone? That mindset doesn't create fairy tales, it creates resilience or collapse. And the world is watching to see which direction this story bends. Public perception, once overwhelmingly sympathetic, is now more divided. Some see a man paying the price for bold choices, others see consequences long overdue. The shine of rebellion has dulled, replaced by the harder light of accountability. Independence, once a slogan, now looks like a full-time responsibility with no off switch. And perhaps that is the real transformation here. This is no longer a saga about leaving, it's about living with the aftermath of leaving. About discovering that freedom is not just the absence of rules, but the presence of risk. Constant, unavoidable risk. The reported $100 million figure still floats through the story like a ghost, never formally confirmed, never officially denied, yet powerful enough to reshape narratives on both sides of the ocean. It has become less of a number and more of a symbol of the cost of autonomy when your life has always been underwritten by tradition. For the monarchy, the benefit is quiet but significant. By refusing to intervene, it reinforces a modern image, an institution with boundaries, not a family ATM. Harsh, perhaps, but clear. And clarity in royal strategy is worth more than temporary approval. For Harry and Meghan, the path forward narrows but doesn't disappear. Reinvention is still possible, stability is still achievable, but it will come from discipline, not drama, from careful building, not grand declarations. The spotlight hasn't gone away, it has just changed temperature. Warmer praise is harder to earn, colder scrutiny is easier to trigger. In the end, this chapter strips away illusion on both sides. The palace is not a safety net for those who step outside its structure, and independence, even for a prince, is not a shield against consequences. What remains is a quieter, more human story than anyone expected. Not of royal scandal, not of explosive betrayal, but of adjustment, of pride meeting reality, of legacy colliding with arithmetic. And in that collision, titles don't matter. History doesn't negotiate, and emotion doesn't pay invoices. Only choices do.